All right, everyone ready? Okay, we're up to Perek Aleph Halacha Tes, Pilchas Yesodei HaTorah. So Halacha Tes starts off. Do you want to pull it up on the screen, someone? Okay, I'll take that as a no. Im Kain. If so what? Well, we have to go back to Halacha Ches, where the Rambam said that God has no physical body as we imagine a body to be, right? Because he's everywhere. Uh, he's up, he's down, he's all around. So if God is everywhere, then he obviously can't be a body because he can't have two bodies in different places. So the Rambam asks a very good point, and he says in Halacha Tes, Im Kain, if God has no body as we define a body, then Mahu Zeh Shekasav B'Torah B'Tachas Raglov, or Ksuvim Be'etzba Elokim, Yad Hashem, Einei Hashem, Oznei Hashem, right? We always anthropomorphize God throughout the Torah, and the Rambam just gives a few examples where the Luchos were written Be'etzba Elokim, Yad Hashem. It says Einei Hashem, right? Einei Hashem Elokecha Tamid Ba, right? And the Rambam starts off in Shmos. You don't have to go too far looking in the Torah. I think off the top of my head, the first example is probably Vayipach Be'apav Nishmas Chayim, right? Breathing into breath into Adam's nose, right? That again, right? All of these are actions done by a person. So why do we have, if the Rambam is right, that there is no body, there are no arms, there are no legs, right? Eyes or ears. So what are all these psukim meaning? Hakol lefi daitan shel b'nei Adam hu she'enan makirin ela hagufos. These are all expressions used to understand, meaning, of course, he doesn't have eyes and ears, but if you want to get the point across, you have no other way of explaining, like the expression Yad Hashem, right? We use today the term Yad Hashem when there's a miracle, right? A soldier who was saved by such and such a circumstance, right? We say Yad Hashem, right? The hand. How else could you say it, right? Of course, he doesn't have a hand, but you got to, for people to understand and relate in their own concepts, you obviously have to put and attach a body part to God, right? But Dibra Torah Koloshon B'nei Adam, and the Rambam uses an expression that the Gemara uses all the time, which is don't be medayek in all these words. It's just, this is the way people speak, right? We say Lashon Torah L'chud. The Gemara says Lashon B'nei Adam L'chud. So this is the way the Torah speaks. The Hakol Kinuyim, they are all kinuyim, right? We should know the word kinuyim. Nicknames. Shenamar im shanosi barak harbi, another one, right? Pasuk we're going to have in Hazinu, right? Where God says, this is a lashon shvua, right? I will sharpen my cherev like lightning. The cherev yeshlo, the cherev hu horeg, right? God doesn't kill by a sword. Ela mashal v'hakol mashal. Okay, it's all a mashal. This is the only way to get the point across. Raya ledavar shenavi echad omer shera hakadosh baruch hu levusheha kitlag chiver, and he brings another proof that there is no real form or body to God, because one pasuk in Daniel, right, where Daniel says God's clothing is like tlag chiver. That's Aramaic, right? Just a little trick in Aramaic. A tuf is a shin, so it's sheleg chiver. The word chiver means white. Like the Gemara likes to say, machvarta, kedashin and meikara. Machvarta means clear, right? Clear as white. So that's what the pasuk says. God's wearing snow white clothes. V'echad ra'ahu. And one Navi in Yeshayahu says, chamutz begadim mibatzra. God's wearing a red clothing, right? So obviously people see God differently. It's their vision. It's from their own, what we like to say in English, their own perspective. Moshe Rabbeinu atzmo ra'au alayam ki gibor osa milchama. And Moshe saw God like a warrior, right? In Parshas Beshalach, right? When they were about to cross over. Ubesinai k'shliach tzibur atuf. And in Har Sinai, right? I think the Rambam may be referencing that famous Gemara in Rosh Hashanah, I think Daf Yud Zayin, where it talks about God, right? By the Hashem el Rachum Mechanun, right? Like we say in Slichus, right? God was like a shliach tzibur, wearing a talus. Lo marshe ein lo demus utzura. There is real no fixed, like we know people. They have one look and one look only, right? But God isn't like that. El hakol b'mara hanavua b'machazeh. It's all, like I said, in the perspective, right? The beauty is in the eye of the beholder. It's a great line from here. V'amitat hadavar ein daito shel adam mevin. We can't understand for the life of us, and we cannot even speculate. We have no idea what this means, that one person saw God this way, one person sees God another way. They're all visions and imagination, and it can't really be comprehended by humans. And this is exactly what the pasuk in Eov means. Right, this is a lashon bitmiya, meaning a rhetorical question. Can you comprehend God? Can you find the tachlis of God? No, there are no meets and bounds of God. So therefore, it's just beyond our scope and comprehension. So now the Rambam delves into a very, very, very famous philosophical conundrum that Moshe Rabbeinu had. And I believe he's talking about the Gemara in Brachos Daf Vav, I think, where Moshe wanted to understand the ways of God. And by the way, he wasn't the first. The Gemara talks about Avraham wanted to find, Yitzchak wanted to understand. But here, at least the Rambam in Halacha Yud says, Ma zeh shebikesh Moshe Rabbeinu lahasig. So what our leader Moshe wanted to comprehend when he said, Hareini nas kvodecha, meaning he just got finished through telling me that what? That God has no form, no face, no limbs. So what was Moshe exactly requesting? Bikesh leida amitas himatzah shel Kadosh Baruch Hu ad sheyadua belibo k'mo yedias echad min hanashim shara panav v'nechka tzurasu belibo shenimtza so ha'ish nifrad b'daitu min shar hanashim. So the Gemara discusses how Moshe Rabbeinu ultimately wanted to know the philosophical conundrum of tzaddik v'ralo, rasha v'tovlo. He wanted to know the age-old question that will never ever get answered. Why do bad things happen to good people, and vice versa? But amongst that, he also wanted, according to the Rambam at least, to see the face of who he talks to all the time. You know, it's kind of like where you have, I don't know if you've ever seen that reality TV show where you date someone for like a year, but you're not allowed to look at them. And then you agree to marry them. And finally, you get to see their face, right? And then on TV, they show you the reaction of someone. So here you are the whole time talking to someone about, deep, important things, but you have no idea what they look like, right? So this is what the Rambam is comparing it. He talks to God, Moshe speaks to God all the time, and he's wondering, what does his image look like? He needed to equate and personify this image that he's been dealing with the whole time. He wanted to know what exactly was he dealing with. You're a mortal. A mortal cannot, for the life of them, understand what it is that they're talking to. I am beyond scope, says God. Right? Right? No one could understand. Right? So that's exactly what Moshe said. Hareini nas kvodecha. And he said, don't take it personally, Moshe. I have news for you. Nobody has seen me, and nobody will ever see me. Right, until Hashem actually told Moshe something that no one has ever seen up until then. So on the one hand, Moshe didn't get to see the full picture, but he saw clues. And sometimes when you see clues, you rearrange the puzzle pieces, and maybe sometimes you could see the whole picture. Right? Sometimes you're looking for someone and he's escaping you, but you see the back of his head. And you think from the back of his head, you could imagine what the front looks like. Right? We do that all the time. You catch a glimpse of someone quickly, and you kind of like imagine what his whole form looks like. That's exactly what happened with Moshe and God. Right? He saw the back. And based on what he saw in the back, right? Because the pasuk says, and Rambam ends off by saying it, right? So it says, you shall see my back, but not my face. If you remember, Rashi over there says God showed him a kesher shot tefillin, whatever that means. Doesn't make it any more clearer. But the point is that Moshe at least got something, right? He was able to kind of put a face to a name, like the expression that we say today, enough. But as the Rambam says, it's more than anyone has ever seen. So that was the godless of Moshe Rabbeinu. All right, we will continue on Wednesday. I cannot make it tomorrow night. So good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night. This is